Hello and welcome to the Jewish Watchmaker, a monumental moment here in the land of Israel. It's quite cold. We just had our new year for trees, Tu B'Shvat, and a new year, new beginnings, and so is the case with this Waltham. It's going to be my first mechanical watch. I'm going to have a go, and hopefully in this video you'll see me disassemble the watch, and hopefully as the series continues you'll be able to see all sorts of different things, cleaning the watch, and then going, probably the most difficult bit is actually getting the thing reassembled and hopefully looking a lot better than what it does now. Okay, here we go. Okay, so here we go, and so it begins. We have here the spring bar tool being applied, having a good look at this this funky band which came with the watch, gold, very gungy, and the thing that I noticed about it was that it took me ages to get the thing off. It was quite difficult. One side of the bracelet where it attaches where the spring bar is, there's like an open bit for the space bar to go in, but the spring bar tool just wasn't moving the spring bar for some reason. I just couldn't do it. That was on the side of the bracelet where there's like a little bit of an opening. The other side of the bracelet, it was closed. And anyway, I spent a lot of time messing around. Like I say, I finally solved one end, but of course neglected to record that bit, that success. And I think this is one of the difficulties about recording and doing watchmaking, especially if you're new at it. It takes quite a bit of time. So there I am, successful, I think, eventually, as it comes up. The spring bar went in, and I basically peeled back a part of the bracelet to expose, and I found out that there's the funky band there and all the gunge inside it. I found that the spring bars themselves only seem to be springy at one end, and that was quite a dirty business, as you can see. Got the old microfiber cloth on there. Well, even had to get some cleaning stuff on there. And if you're wondering there, the sticker, which reads number 20, that was just something that I did. I just stuck it on, and to get the center for the camera. So with this watch, I actually, when I first got it, it would only work for about a few seconds, and that was if you sort of like shook the thing for a little bit. And I've had it in a box for quite a while, and you can see it was moving there on the right hand side, and actually in some parts it's running quite decent. The beat error and the amplitude is not too bad, and I'm using there one of these cheaper, it's the same thing, it's basically the same technology, but it's about a quarter of the price. It's just one of these things that you plug into into your computer, and the screen is from your computer. So you buy the unit, and then you download the software to display the information from the timographer. So, but anyway, it stopped after about 10 minutes. It went quite well. I sort of jiggled the crown around a little bit, and that got it working, and it worked for quite a few minutes. So that little capture there on the timographer was, quite opportunistic. But obviously, you don't still the watch is not in working order. If it stops after 10 minutes. So there we go. The case back is off, and I think what surprised me most about this was the fact that there was the movement ring that come off, and I noticed with that movement ring there's actually a cutout in it, and that goes where the stem, the crown stem is. Well, it should do, but it wasn't. So I got this feeling with this watch that somebody had taken the back off and had a fiddle around with it maybe, and put the movement ring in the wrong place, and that cramped the style of the crown stem and the crown. Crown was quite worn, and I found I couldn't turn it round very good. So maybe, so there I get the crown and the stem out. Tiniest of screws there. I'm using my orange top screwdriver there, which was I think the only piece of Bergion equipment I possessed. And that was 0.5 millimeters. Now the movement's coming out on the custom cushion that I made from an old cork coffee mat. And that pink stuff there is packaging. They're used in packaging of different items. So there you go. There's the dial. Very, very pitted. It's got like a green tinge to the patina. That's what people call it, the patina. So, and now I'm going to take the hands off with these hand tools, and I was very pleased with this result. I've tried using these tools on quartz watches, and well, the quartz watches and their dials and their hands, the hands seem to be quite close to the dial, but on these mechanical wristwatches the hands worked rather nice. And learning all the time now with this, because obviously you're using a plastic piece of plastic over the top, so you're not damaging. And there I'm using my wood-tipped tweezers. And one of the things you've got to be careful, of course, is static electricity. So sometimes when you don't be so, you shouldn't be so keen to rip the plastic up, because sometimes a hand, especially the second hand, can be stuck on it because of the static, and or if you lift it up quite pronounced, it you could actually end up causing one of the hands to fly and disappear. So that's what I did with the dial, and now I'll get the old put the dial screws in, and of course I have to apologise at this point in time as well, because the camera that I'm filming this on is just a camera. There's no sound, so I don't have a provision. So those people who like watching these type of videos for the sound and things, that's something that's on the sort of like cards to maybe address that, so that people like to hear the sounds of the things clicking and buzzing and whirring and all that sort of stuff, but not at the moment. And the camera is directly over my head, and you can see that I've got one of these double lens eyeglass things which I attached to my glasses, and unfortunately one of them was up in the air because I didn't need it, and of course it's got in the way of the camera. So that's another thing to try and solve in the next video, which is to well, I've done it now. I've positioned it so that it isn't directly above, and so hopefully more of the picture is going to be seen. Also, when you're taking the dial off as well, you've got to be careful the dial screw falls off as well. So again, another thing you've got to be careful. If anything, I would categorize this disassembly of this Waltham watch as more like in certain parts it was more like disassembly by things just basically falling off. Using my finger on the dial there, and but it doesn't matter, because it's a fairly this is a low budget movement. The movement isn't so magnificent that you would it's fairly cheap. The whole watch was pretty cheap, and I got it for this purpose, so that I can start my first disassembly, first on something that I know that does partly work, and it's fairly simple. You know, there's no extra things like day and date and automatic mechanism on it as well, and with the idea that I can somehow get this thing together and back together again after I've cleaned it, which is the cleaning of this movement will be the subject of the next video. I made some modifications to the previous video that I showed, which showed my, well, what could I say, proof of concept washing machine, washing machine that I made. That's going to be in a smaller jar and with a smaller basket, and the idea of the smaller jar is that I can save on cleaning product and also put the jar in the ultrasonic cleaner as well, so I can have a combination of swishing round and doing that. So they're on the video now, which is beautifully covered up by my eyeglass there. Really aggravated. You know, I've watched a lot of watch repair videos, so one of the things that seems to be a popular thing to do is to take the balance away from the movement and put it aside to keep it safe so that nothing gets damaged. And all the while that I'm doing this video, I'm you know, it's been heavily edited. You know, I mean, taking the bracelet off was like it took me a good half hour, and that was, of course, cut down to just you know, just a minute or so to show me taking the bracelet off. And that's really characteristic of the whole movie. What you're seeing now, which amounts to you know, maybe about 3/4 of an hour, took several hours of messing around, and also because it's the first time I've done it, I spent a lot of time just patiently waiting and looking at the movement and re-looking at it, trying to sort of like get an idea of the geography of the movement, you know, maybe what needs to come off first, and trying this screwdriver, that screw, you know, to get the sort of the sizes. I've got 4 sizes of screwdriver, so sometimes you'll see me, you know, I'll use this one or I'll use another one, and you can see that I was successful there in getting a screw out of, I think it's the train wheel bridge that I took off first. I can't really remember, but that seemed to work okay. Other observations, you notice that I've got my finger cuts on. This movement was very, very greasy and very dirty. I don't think that really shows on the video. You can see my grey hair and my eyeglass. And this is edited, this shot as well. It's not straight, sort of like from the, you know, the video feed straight from the camera. It's going through the video editing software, where I've done a crop and zoom, you know, to try and fill the frame up as much as possible, so that the details can be easily seen. But unfortunately, my head, my grey hair, and my skull cap is covering up some of the bits. So the purpose really of this video is to sort of like get used to 1 or 2 different things. It's rather like juggling plates. You want to, you know, I need experience in, you know, what works and what doesn't work as far as video in these type of things go. Also, how obviously to learn the disassembly itself. Oh yes, that's a train of wheels screws, bridge coming off with the 3 screws. And I think with this one I managed to do with one of the screws, I don't think it's on video though, or maybe it's later on, I managed to do like a tiddlywink on it, on one of the screws, and it went flying off. And of course I had to cut all the video footage off of me saying a few choice words and expressing my frustration But with that one, with the tiddlywink screw, that went off into one of the actually the little square holes on my watch mat. So that was a winner, that. But I hadn't realised where it had gone. I thought that was it. You know, I was going to have to go online and buy a bunch of screws, you know, from and try and match that up. So that was one of the sort of the disasters. I was conscious all the time of the, you know, the fact that you know, when you go on to things like the click spring or the spring that goes on the setting lever, you know, to watch out for that. But I fell foul of that. I think that's the top side. On the downside now, I've just taken off the, I think that's called the arrow wheel, I think. And also trying to remember the parts as well. And you can see there with the gloves there, it's quite greasy, unbelievably greasy. Getting used to the movement holder. Sometimes it didn't grip very well. The whole thing sort of like slipped out. As you can see there, I'm in a bit of trouble. Going backwards and forwards and trying to disassemble this watch. So a lot of juggling, and also taking still shots of the movement as I progress through, so that when it comes to reassembling the watch, which I, you know, in terms of, it's going to probably be another maybe another 2 or 3 weeks when I get around to actually reassembling, I'll have a pictorial record, and hopefully I can somehow get this thing back together again after I've cleaned it. But the cleaning obviously is the next stage. A very, very weird experience, sort of being very conscious of trying to do a good job, trying to take my time, trying to be patient. Oh, there we go. Trainer wheel bridge finally came off eventually there. I think that's it. Yeah, I think that's the trainer wheel bridge. You have to excuse me. I'm a real amateur. So now I'm going to go at one of the wheels, flipping it over and taking a picture of it. So if you see like little flashes just like that one, that was me taking a picture. Lots of periods of just waiting and trying to think about how to do and not to do, and yeah, it's but it wasn't as stressful, I don't think. Certainly the number of hours I spent watching people, you know, they're doing their own watchmaking videos, certainly learned a lot. And on the time scale, oh, there we go. You see, you remember I talk about the flying method of disassembly. There was another piece that went flying off. Yeah. So it was peaceful. And the bonus was that nobody was in the house at the night when I was disassembling, so I was able to give it my good attention, and I had a jolly good time. Even though, apart from like maybe in the next bit where I show, maybe if I can see it, I'll point out when it wasn't the setting lever spring that flew off. It wasn't the spring itself, but it was the setting lever that flew off, which actually worked out to be a bit of a bonus, and that flew a lot further, but I was able to recover that. So ultimately the disassembly was successful. I managed to do that without actually losing any parts, which I thought was quite a good thing for a first attempt. A lot of there you go, another snap of the picture there. And I also had a problem with the lighting for filming this over the top scene as well. Get a lot of glare off the movement, being you know, metal, steel, sort of, I don't know, it's plated metal, I don't know really, like brass plated with something, but it was certainly shiny, and But then saying that, when I'm filming it, obviously my head goes forward, and that provides a shadow on the movement, so it doesn't really make it all that bad. So I'm checking, I'm trying to remember and learn as much as I can. I've got the little sticker there to keep my position, so that it's like the actor on the stage, isn't it? You have one of those little crosses on the stage, so the actors know where they have to stand to do their delivery. So I was conscious of that all the time, trying to keep the everything in shot. And just steady away, steady away. So to get to this point, I think I don't know whether I mentioned it, to get to this point before, really it's been about, I would say, at least a year of planning to get to this stage where I'm now disassembling this watch. Not having that much money, I had to rely on tools that were cheaper, and of course the place you get cheaper tools is on eBay. And the problem that I have with eBay, I don't know whether you have the same problem, is that you order something and on average here where I am, it takes anything from 3 to 4 months for those parts to arrive. And bearing in mind that when you're ordering these things, you're not always sure what it is that you're buying or whether it's appropriate. So sometimes, you know, you can buy something, you think that's what you need, and it turns out that it's not, or maybe what you bought is of inferior value. And the other thing I think that I bought that was Burgeon was it's like a pair of clip-on glasses, and I thought, oh well, you know, it's probably to be able to see what you're seeing is probably is probably the most important part, to have some good optics. And the problem is that just basically I didn't get, it was billed as Burgeon, but it didn't, all it had, it was like an OEM type thing that obviously had been made in China, and just a white sticker that said Burgeon on it, so I'm wondering, if there are, probably the same thing is out there maybe on eBay, and it's a darn sight cheaper than what I paid. I felt like I was just paying for the name. I think the only thing that I didn't skimp on as far as tools go is the screwdrivers. So the screwdrivers are Horotech, set of 4, the smallest one being about 0.6 or something like that. And I think I used all of the screwdrivers in this. So there I'm using one now just to take this this bridge on the outside, the barrel bridge. I'm just got it sort of like loose with the screwdriver, and now I'm going to try and tweak it off. But I found that with this it was not coming off that easy. And I think further on in the video, at some point in time, sometimes you can lose yourself when you do these type of things, and you think you're, you might be servicing a car engine and not a watch movement, and so it's very tempting to get to give these things a bit of welly, as I would say, and then that's not the thing to do, because you end up breaking parts. So on this barrel bridge, it was quite dirty, quite greasy, and the barrel obviously stuck in there in the bridge with the grease. So I'm looking at it thinking, how is it going to come off? What do we have here? And I think I end up sort of like flipping it over, and it drops off. So it was like the drop off method of disassembly. I tried to get my fingers on it, tried to pull it off. So there we go. It's like, and I noticed that also with this one that the you know, they didn't get any there didn't seem to be any significant shake on this this barrel. It seemed quite you know, nicely in there. Oh, there we go. I pushed the pliers through the hole, and that got the main spring barrel out. So have a good look at it. It's full of grease. Give it a photograph. All the usual procedures. And not shown on this video, I put all the parts eventually into a few little plastic boxes, and that's going to be ready for going into the washing machine, but I didn't film that. And still things to do. I need to get some pegwood on that, especially on that that bridge there, and you get the pegwood on and clean as much of the grease off as possible before going into the first stage of the doing the washing. And so it's like slowly and surely things start to come together. I also noticed that when I was twizzling the crown and the stem around, that the click didn't seem to really sort of work, or there seemed to be a lack of engagement between the click and the I don't even know what the name is for it. The is it a ratchet wheel, or I think there didn't seem to be any engagement in that at one point in time as well. So that could be a bit of an issue. But you never know, because if it's so full of grease, maybe maybe something weren't engaging right, or wasn't sitting right. I suppose I'll find that out once I do it. So thinking about watchmaking and why do I do it? I think I do it because I like to see how things work. I like the challenge of getting something to work, and really with the time that we've had over the last 2 or 3 years with the COVID and everything, which was, by the way, was the first time that I looked at watchmaking videos, I really felt that I needed to be able to do something, especially if you're, you know, homebound because of these silly situations that come up, and you know, be able to do something that brings a certain amount of fulfillment and a sense of purpose, and you know, it's something that you can. It's a new skill to learn, and that's why I do it. You know, there's a lot of people, you know, they like watchmaking because they like the aesthetics of watches. You know, what the watch looks like, how much it costs, the materials that it's made from, and why maybe one movement is better than the other, and you know, and collecting for rarity and things like that. Oh, there we go. This is the example of the, I think here now, of the so the drop method of disassembly. Oh yes, I think the escape wheel popped out there, and the screw. I nearly lost that screw there, then it was nearly going to go tiddlywink. And yeah, I noticed with this movement the escape wheel was very much sort of like, just like hanging, but it was like covered up, still quite covered over. So from what I read online, that this is quite a, oh, there we go, the movement fell out again, quite a common feature with this type of movement. I did write down the movement number and that when I was doing this. I think I found what the number was from the marking, just the marking that was on one of the plates. There was no like a little stamp mark. There was no like number on it to say what kind of caliber it was. So I looked up that, and I found out the name of the caliber, and I looked to see if there was anything like an oiling chart or like a technician's manual that would give an exploded view. but I only managed to find like a parts picture part list of the various bits. So it went on and on and on, and it took a long time. Coming up shortly will be a musical interlude before basically a musical interlude of about at least what could I say, at least 4 hours of the whole, sort of from the process, from the beginning from when the case back came off to the end. It's coming up now. So there we go. We're back on the last bit of the thing. Getting my special little tool here for taking off the Canon pinion, and I think this is where I somehow missed out recording on the overhead camera, and so I used the camera to the side, which is a GoPro camera. And again, use the feature of zooming in using the video editor to do that. And so, yeah, as long with the watchmaking, I'm also learning how to trying to sort of use a video editor and trying to learn watchmaking at the same time. And yeah, it's quite pleasant experience, really. Well, there we go, the man in action. You can see there my grey mat. I've got my little yellow oh no, bit of sound effect there. That's where I lost something there. You can see my Bergion, non-Bergion eyeglass thing over on the right hand side there. All my bits in the grey mat. I think I got to a stage with this where I'd resigned myself to the fact that I'd lost whatever. I think it was the setting lever, and so finding that was unbelievable. It meant having to sort of put my little desky type thing where my mat was on, put that to one side without spilling all the bits, and then going round and looking to see where this part had flown off to. So Stanley Vice, little desk lamp. Oh, this is it. This is the bit now. This is where I lose the setting lever. Wait for it. And the old keyless works there. I got my black proddy thing. You know, I'm going to hold on to that spring for dear life, but I didn't anticipate that the something fell off from somewhere before. It's coming up now. Oh. Oh, what a moment of disaster. So there I am, you know, trying to find it, and there was a little plastic box just to the right hand side there where I got my hand, near to where my hand was on the Stanley Vice there, and it actually landed on that plastic box, So I was able to get my tweezers there and retrieve it, and I was very, very pleased because of that. That was like a successful mission.
What?
Oh dear. And there you go. That's sort of like where I got to. Tools on the table, parts in the little places, and I think very therapeutic exercise, really, all in all. And it's the first step of many, I think. And I think with that, I'll say goodbye to all you listeners out there. Hopefully coming up you'll be able to see me take that mainspring out of the barrel, see if I can do that without whipping myself in the nose or something with it. And we'll see about the little basket arrangement and the smaller jar, and it's going to be another experiment. What cleaning fluid will be better? Is it going to be lighter fuel, or is it going to be some barbecue lighting fuel that I've got, which is what they call naft, which I can get here, which is actually cheaper than the lighter fuel. Certainly looks a lot clearer, not sort of like a yellow tinge as with the lighter fluid. So that's all to come. Thank you for listening, and it's been a great pleasure, and I wish you all the best, and hope to see you on the next video. Bye for now.